Good afternoon. In this video, we're going to continue on our conveyor pickup. So we're going to add a pallet and we're going to do a pick and place from our conveyor system and onto the pallet, and we'll do a couple different configurations on the pallet. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add the actual pallet. So I'm going to go up to Cell, Add Fixture. And because we're not moving it at all or moving anything on it, we can keep it as a fixture, not as a machine. CAD library. And we're going to go to pallets. And let's look for a typical pallet. So here's a wood pallet. Hit OK. And then let's bring this down. So we're going to put this down on the ground. Get really close. And we're going to put it, say, X, make it a nice nominal number, and Y will say 550 off to the edge there, and then we'll say 135. It looks like we're almost close to the ground. Let's look. We're just inside the ground, so let's go 135. Perfect. Alright, so now we have our size of our pallet. We may want to move this out just a hair bit more, so let's go 1800, and then let's check the envelope. There's our envelope. So we're right on the edge. We could probably kick it out to 2000, but we may come to a point where we may not be able to reach fully with our actual packaging up into the air. So when we keep this at 1800, that seems to be a good number for the pallet on the ground. So let's turn off the U-Tool screen. And the next thing we want to do is we want to set up how our part is actually going to be visually on our pallet. So we're going to go to the pallet, double click it, which will bring up our screen that we just had. We're going to go to Parts, and we're going to check Box 1. So with Box 1 now checked, we're going to hit Apply, and we're going to see the actual box. And now we need to place it where we want on the actual pallet. So we're going to go Edit, Part Offset, and we're going to bring it up so that we're pretty close to the top edge. It should be 200 millimeters since that's the height of our box. And for this one, we're going to just stack 4 on top of each other. And then we will modify the program and we will do a separate scenario with the actual pallet where we may be stacking 1 in the X and in the Y direction as well. So the next thing we've got to do is we need to array this. We're going to array this so that we have a total of 4 boxes going upwards. So we're going to just stack this onto our pallet 4 times so that we have 4 boxes up. Right here is the number of parts. We're going to add a few different parts. So we're going to go Add, and then here is our array system. So this is the X direction, this is the Y direction. In the next video, we'll actually modify this so that we do have an arrayment onto our pallet here. So we're going to keep this as 1, we're going to keep this as 1, and then we're going to change this to total of 4, and that includes the one that we have right now. So then what we're going to do is change our Z-axis, our distance, to 200. Now we're not going to do anything in the X, we're not going to do anything in the Y. Leave this, nothing will happen. So our height of our box is 200, so we want to make sure our Z is 200. And if we hit OK, now you should see we have 4 boxes stacked on top of each other. Now if you look at our boxes, let's double click our pallet again. Here's box 1, number 1, box 1, number 2, box 1, number 3, box 1, number 4. So now we have a configuration of boxes in which we can now place onto our device or our pallet. So what we want to do then is we don't want these to show up until we actually stack them. So before we exit out of this area, we want to turn off the visibility at the runtime, and we may want to turn off the visibility for these 3 as well that are stacked on top of our 1. So let's uncheck. Let's make sure box 1 is checked. Uncheck visible at runtime. Hit Apply. Box number 2, visible, visible, apply. So now it's disappeared. And then box 1, 3, visible, visible, apply. And then the last box, apply. Okay, so we only need the 1 box to set up our stack because we're going to set up a position register to stack and offset us up the Z for each one of these box stacks. Under simulation, this is where we're going to change the delay. So we're going to allow this to be placed. So uncheck the part picked, and then we're going to allow this to be placed. We may change this number right now, but we want to keep it on the pallet, so we don't want it to disappear right away. The other thing is, if there's presents, we're not going to worry about the presents at this point because we're just stacking it. Presents comes into play when we're actually picking something up. So we're going to hit OK on this. So now we have our three different places. We have where we're picking up from, how the tool is going to move it, and then where we're going to place it. So now what we need to do is we need to break our simulation program into three different items. Number one is going to be the conveyor belt. Number two is going to be the pickup. Number three is going to be the place. So we're going to go right now to our pickup. So if we go into this program, we're going to right click pickup, and if you don't see these right now, it just means that you just have to hit the plus and unminimize all these different settings here. So we're going to go to the pickup that we created, right click, and we're going to go teach program. So here's the pickup that we did in the previous lesson. So that's the running down. It calls the conveyor belt. So let's actually see this run. So again, this is what we created from the previous activity. So we already have our conveyor movement and we have our pickup. So what we're going to do is just modify this. So we're not going to do anything that has to do with the robot. So we're going to get rid of the position for the home. We're going to get rid of the conveyor movement. We're going to get rid of the robot movement. And all we're going to do is we're going to pick up the box. So we're just going to go to where it says pick up box. So delete this and then delete the items down below. So all we want is the pickup box from conveyor belt with the suction. So that's all we want for our pickup. So I'm going to close that out. Now let's teach the drop-off area on the pallet. So I'm going to double click the pallet and go to parts, and we're going to click part 1, and then we're going to go move to. So now we move to that position because we taught how the robot is going to pick up the box, and as long as the UCSs of the box and the pallet box match, we are able to pick it up really easily. So now I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go to teach, add simulation program, and we're going to call this drop off. So now that we have drop off, all we have to do is we're going to go down to drop, and we're going to drop box number 1 from the suction to the wood pallet. And here we're going to make sure that it has the asterisks at the end. So that allows us to actually do a point register or position register and move it up, move it up, move it up. Okay, so we're going to go wooden pallet and we're going to go box number asterisks. So that's all we have to do for the drop off area. So let's close that out. So now everything else we're going to do inside of our teach pendant. So we're going to go teach pendant, we're going to go to select, and then we're going to create a new program. So create, and we're going to go pick, place, and we're going to go for Z. So we're going to place 4 of these boxes in the Z direction. And we're going to go enter, and this is going to be a movement. So we're going to make sure that our group mask is number 1. And then let's go into the actual program itself. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to set up our frames. Now everything is set up in frame 0, which is our world mode, but if we switch our frames to frame 1, then we would actually leave it as frame 1 as well. So I'm going to add a couple headings here. So we're going miscellaneous, remark, and let's add the frames now. Frame 0. And then we're going to add our tool frame, which is going to be number 1. Now that we have our frames, I'm going to add a bunch of lines, maybe like 20 or so. So the next one I'm going to set up is my variables. So the first variable we're going to have is we're going to have some sort of counter. So let's just go new instruction and registers. And we're going to set a register equal to 0. So the first one we're going to do is say register number 1. and then we'll double check to make sure that we're not using that for something else. So register number 1, we're going to make it equal to 0. So this is going to be our counting feature. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to be doing an offset in the Z direction, so we need a position register IJ in order to do that. So let's go into our registers and see what we're utilizing. So data, right now we have nothing for registers, so let's just double click here and we'll go counter. And it doesn't matter what we set this to, we can set it to 4 right away, but as soon as we go into that program, it's going to reinitialize it as 0. So the next thing we're going to have is maybe we'll have a speed. So I'm going to go speed, and then my speed I'm going to go is default going to be 2000, but again we're going to reinitialize it. So now that we have our data registers set up, let's go to type and let's go to position registers. Right now we're using number 1 and 2 for our safe position and home position. Let's do position register number 3 as our Z offset. And then we're going to enter on that. Then we're going to record. So we'll go shift record. And all we did is recorded this position right here as a starting point. Then we're going to go into the actual position. And then we're going to set these equal to 0. So now everything is set at 0. So we're going to go done. And then we're going to go back into the program by going edit. So let's now set that up to make sure that if it changes down the road, it'll automatically reset as 0. So we're going to go new instruction, and we're going to go registers, and we're going to equal to. We're going to use the position register IJ. So we're going to utilize position register number 3, which is our Z offset, and we're going to utilize the Z portion of that, which is number 3. And then we're going to set it equal to a constant 0. So the next thing, let's do a speed. So I'm going to actually insert one line in between here so that my registers or my data registers are in the same area. So equal to register number 2, which is our speed, and we'll set it first at 2000. Okay, so this is something known as a variable so that we're not hard coding a speed. So if we find that things are moving way too fast, we can easily just change this right here and it'll change it everywhere else. We can also set up a speed override function as well to help out with speeds with the percentages as well. So we're going to add a home heading. And we're going to set our home position, add move point. We're going to do a joint 100%. And then we're going to use a position register for that. So choice position register number 2, I do believe, is our home position. So we have our home position. Let's see where that's at. So let's go to the number 11 and we'll go step mode, shift forward, initializes the variables, and then we will go down to the home position. There we go. We're at our home position, is out of the way of everything. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start by having the conveyor belt run. So we're going to go the new instruction, miscellaneous, remark. So now let's actually call that program. So we're going to go to instructions, call program, and we're going to go conveyor movement. And that's the movement of the box down the actual conveyor. So let's see this actually run. So cycle run, goes through, here's the conveyor movement, comes down, moves out of our conveyor movement program, and then we're going to do a pickup program. So we're going to do new instruction, miscellaneous, remark, and then we're going to go pickup. Alright, so now we need to move the robot down to this position right here. To get to this position, we need to go into our area where our machines are. So conveyor belt, hit the plus, here's our link, double click it, and then brings up our link. We're going to go to parts. So we're going to go to parts, and then we're going to go move to, and we're moved into that position. So now we want to go from the home to a safe position and then linear down to our top one. So we're actually going to skip one line here, and then we're going to go add move point. We're going to go linear down to that, and then where it says 100, we're going to go register number 2. So that's that 2000 millimeters, and we can change that to whatever speed we want it to be. So then what we're going to do is we're going to move our robot up about maybe 500 or so. Let's see what it looks like. So we're going to go position, and we go to X, Y, and Z, and we're going to move up to maybe 500 and see what it looks like. Now if you want to see if the box clears or not, just turn the box on here, open and close, which turns the box on. So you can see we are out of the way. Maybe we want to pick it up just a hair bit more. There we go, to make sure that we are completely out of the way of any fixtures. Okay, so now that we have that position, now we can teach this position, and we want to go from our home position to this position using a joint movement. So we're going to go add move point, we're going to go joint, and we're going to go to that position. We're going to linear down to this position, and then we're going to pick up. So this is where we're going to call the pickup program, and that's using the simulation software so that the Fanuc'S software here, Roboguide, can know that, hey, I need to pick up this box, I need to make the other box disappear because I'm picking it up, and then reappear on my actual tool. So we're going to go new instruction, we're going to call program, and we're going to go pick up. So once we're picked up, we're going to mirror this. So we're going to go up to position 2. So we're going to go to add move point, linear, and we're going to go to position 2. So we're going to go down, pick up, and then go to position 2. Try this out. Oh, we didn't add the speed to this, so we'll add the speed of register number 2. Turn on teach pendant, register. So now we have our speed. So once we have this point now taught, if there's any other obstacle in this way, we can teach another point here to make sure that it's getting fully out of the way, or we can go directly over to this point over here. So now let's go down, and this is going to be my drop off. So new instruction, miscellaneous, and we're going to remark, and this is going to be drop off. And now let's add our movement. So we need to double click our pallet, and we're going to go to box number 1 under parts, and we're going to go move to. So now that we're moved to that position, now we can teach this position. So just like before, let's add our point one more down below so we have our safe position. So we're going new instruction. We're going to go add move point, and we're going to linear down to that, and we're going to linear as a register, and then we're going to move this up so that we can save that position. So we'll go position, and we're going to move up, say 300 or 400 millimeters. So let's go Z of 0. That's pretty good. And let's save that position. So I'm going to go add move point, and we're going to joint movement to this position. And we're going to go 100% on that. Then we're going to start adding our drop-off area. So we're going to go new instruction, call program, and we're going to drop off, move on down. Then we need to linear back up to our safe position. So we're going to go movement, and we're going to use the register number 2 for that. And we're going to put in position number 4 for our safe position. Now there's other things you could do with this. You could do a tool offset, or you can do a position so that they're equal all the way around. We'll go through that in a different example. So now that we have this on the end, now we need to move our robot back to our home position. So I'm going to go ECDM, insert maybe 5 lines, and then move on down. And we're going to add a heading. And let's go point, and we're going to go as a joint to our home position, which is position register number 2. There we go. So let's see this actually work. So now it should do a full pick and place. So now we have a full pick and place. So now that we have this pick and place, we're not going to reteach each of these positions. That's too much programming. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a for loop in which we're going to offset our placement every single time we place. So we're going to do a for loop. So we're going to go call conveyor belt, we're going to go to the home position first. So right in between the home position and the conveyor belt is where we're going to place our for loop. So I'm going to go inside here, turn on Teach Pendant, ECDM, insert, and let's insert maybe 3 lines. And then we're going to go to the next line here. We're going to add instruction, remark, and this is going to be my loop. So inside my loop, we're going to go new instruction. We're going to go to the for loop, for end for. So for, and we're going to use register number 1 as our counter. And we're going to count between a constant 1, so it reinitializes our 0 to 1, 2, 4. So it's going to do this 4 times. Then moving down, it's going to call the conveyor belt. It's going to do the pickup. And here is where we're going to have to modify things. Here's the drop off. So with the drop off, here's where we're going to add our offsets. So right at the end here, so arrow in, arrow 1 over, and then here's our offsets. So we're going to offset point register or position register, and we're going to use number 3. And that's going to be our Z offset. Then our linear here, arrow over, we're going to offset point register 3, and then call for drop off. And then we're going to offset position register number 3. So all the ones that we have as drop off, we're going to offset them in. So now that we have that set up, now we have our home position, and we also want to add to our position register as well. We need to add 200 to stack. So I'm going to go miscellaneous remark. We're going to add to position Z. And then we're going to new instruction, registers, and we're going to add. So we're going to use IJ position register. We're using position register number 3, and we are going to take the Z component, which is number 3, and then we're going to take the original amount, which right now is at 0, from position register number 3, and we're going to add 200 to it. So now that we have our position register, which is 0, Z coordinate, we're going to add 200 and reinitialize it as the new setting. And then what we're going to do is we're going to end the for loop inside here. So we're going to go new instruction, and we're going to go over to the for, end for, and we're going to end the for loop. So it knows where to now jump back to where we have it as our 4. The next thing we want to do is add a wait to the end, and we're going to add a couple waits to the program as well. So here's the end for, and we're going to go down. Let's add a couple more lines, a little bit more, and then we're going to end with a wait. So it looks like it's stacked for a while before it resets everything. So let's go new instruction, wait, and we're going to wait in seconds, and let's wait like 5 seconds. For us to see the actual stacking of this. The other places we want to add weights is anywhere that we are going to suck or grab something and drop something. We're going to add 0.5 seconds to it to allow that suction to turn off or to turn on. So we're going to go to where it says call drop off. Let's add a line inside here, and let's add a wait. We're going to go wait, and we're going to go maybe half of a second, so 0.5 seconds. Same thing up in the pickup area, call pickup. Let's add a line, and then let's go add new instruction, and we're going to do a wait. And again, this allows for the suction to grab or for the suction to decrease to the point where you can actually drop it off. All right, let's run this and see how it runs. We want to also change the destroy time here and reappear time so that it matches and flawlessly jumps to where it starts again. Okay, but we'll run through this to see what it looks like so far. See, right now the destroy time is way too much, which is why it disappears on us. So we have to actually get that time to be perfect in order for it to appear just as this transitions down, and then you can see it comes down to the end. But our stacking program works perfectly fine. So there's number 4, so now we should end the 4 and then wait for 5 seconds. And then that disappeared. Alright, so now what we need to do is get this timing to be perfect. And this one is pretty much a trial and error. You put a number, you test it, and then see if it works or not. So let's go into this box. So we're going to go under the conveyor, link number 1, double click it. And we're going to go to the simulation tab. And then here is the pickup and place. So we're going to allow to be placed, uncheck that. And then we're going to go to where it says allow to be picked up. So let's try 6 seconds and see what that looks like. So go 6 seconds, apply, and then let's run this and see what it looks like. Okay, so we're a little early, so let's change it, go in here, so let's go maybe 7 seconds, see what that looks like, and let's run this. Still a little bit early, so I'm going to actually pause this now. I'm going to try to get the perfect amount of time here. Alright, so after about 10 different tries, I got seems to be pretty perfect or spot on, which is 8.1 seconds. So let's run this simulation from start to finish. And there we go. So again, it's not perfect, but it gets the point across with the movement. So we went through the movement of the conveyor belt, the pickup, the placement. We did a for loop to allow us to stack. In the next video, we will modify this program so that we could do a palletization of this box, maybe 3 by 3, and then maybe we'll add another stack to that.